My name is Amy, a 27-year-old office worker. I just got married half a year ago. I met my husband James at a barbecue party thrown by a couple of colleagues at work. At that party, a colleague had invited her female friends from work, and her boyfriend gathered his friends from college days. Looking back, it seems like it was a setup as a place to meet new people. My family is quite strict. My dad is a company president and enforced strict discipline since I was a child. I even had a curfew until high school. I had never been to parties before and felt shy in large gatherings, especially around many men. That day, I mostly talked with the female friends of my colleague. James was the first one who approached me.
Amy, the meat here is ready. You haven't eaten much, have you? Don't be shy here.
He said this with a smile, creating an easy-to-talk atmosphere, and we quickly hit it off. Thanks to James, who was great at livening things up, I naturally joined the group and had such a fun day that time flew by. On the way home that day, he asked for my contact information, and the next day,
I had a great time yesterday. I'd like to meet just the two of us next time.
I received that message. Gathering my courage, I replied, "Me too." Immediately after, the phone rang.
Really? I'm so happy. When should we do it? Where do you want to go?
My heart raced with such exchanges. I was so happy when he asked me out at the end of our first date that I said yes right away. After one of our dates, he was driving me home, and when we arrived at my house, he seemed a bit surprised.
Amy comes from a wealthy family. I heard a bit around about it at the barbecue. Wow, what a mansion. Is your dad the president?
Yes, kind of. Do you know Davis Group?
Davis? Of course, everyone knows it. Wow, so Amy is the daughter of such a big company's president.
I'm not really a daughter of anything.
No, I wonder if it's okay for someone like me to date you. If you have a fiancé or something, I'd like to know sooner rather than later.
He said this seriously. Oh, what are you talking about? There's no one like that, and I want to marry someone I love. I have a brother and a younger brother, so I'm not going to take over.
Really?
Really. That conversation was only for that moment. Even after knowing about my family, he didn't change, and our relationship continued smoothly. Then, about a year later, he proposed, and after introducing him to my parents, we got married. He's been kind even after marriage. About a month ago, when Mom told me that Dad wasn't feeling well and was going to be hospitalized for tests, he comforted me, shocked and upset, and suggested we go see him in his car. At that time, the test results hadn't come out yet, and Dad,
I'm sorry to worry you. I've just been busy and tired lately,
he said with a smile. But that weekend, we were called to gather at my parents' house. My brother's family, my husband and me, and my still single brother. The last time we all gathered like this was at our wedding. A bad feeling crossed my mind, and sadly it came true. Dad had cancer metastasis, and it was already inoperable.
No, I was surprised. They said the test results would come in a week, but actually they called me the next day. I got a terminal diagnosis.
Dad spoke bravely, with Mom holding back tears beside him. That's so... I couldn't stop crying, and my husband put his hand on my shoulder. My brothers couldn't believe it and couldn't find the words right away.
But that doesn't mean I'm dying tomorrow. There's a lot I have to do, not just for the house, but as the head of the company. I need your help with many things.
It seemed he was mainly speaking to my older brother.
And James.
Dad addressed my husband, who was comforting me.
I'm sorry for this happening when you're newlyweds. Please take care of Amy. Of course, Mr. William. I'll do anything you need.
I cried again at their words. Dad strongly wished not to be hospitalized, so he received palliative care at home. Fortunately, the medication worked well, and Dad was initially not bedridden much, thanks to his willpower.
It's hard to believe he's seriously ill. He's so active,
Mom said. The secretary, executives, and lawyers were informed, and Dad proceeded with what needed to be done. Mom dedicated herself to caring for him, and my brothers supported Dad both personally and professionally. My older brother, the heir, had built a house near our parents even after getting married, and my younger brother still lived at home. I also tried to stop by my parents' house after work and made sure to visit Dad on weekends. My husband came with me on weekends and said things like,
"You don't have to cook dinner on those days you stop by your parents' house."
for which I was grateful. One day when I stopped by my parents' house and came back, my husband was already home, and I heard voices from the living room. Maybe he's on the phone? I quietly entered the living room.
"That's why, probably soon. He won't last much longer."
I felt a wave of anxiety, thinking I heard something unsettling. What was that? What does it mean?
Whoa!
My husband, startled by my sudden entrance, quickly hung up the phone.
"You're back! Welcome home."
I'm home. Hey, who are you talking to just now? What were you talking about? It wasn't about Dad, was it?
"What are you saying? Of course not. I was just talking to a friend about a game. Remember that gamer guy?"
But I thought I heard something about not lasting long.
"That's about the game. He's in a tournament and having a tough time. Something about his opponent running out of items, and it's getting risky."
Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Dad and got really scared.
"Amy."
My husband gently grasped my shoulder.
"It makes me sad to be misunderstood like that. I do worry about Mr. William, and I still wonder if there's any way to cure him,"
he said earnestly. That's true. Sorry, James. You're always so kind. I just visited Dad and I guess I was feeling down. I haven't been eating much lately.
"I see. I'm sorry I can't do more for you during this tough time, but it's not good to always look so sad. Maybe go out for coffee with friends sometimes."
You're right. I felt relieved by his demeanor and guilty for doubting such a kind man. Then, a month later, despite our hopes, Dad passed away. Mom, my brothers, and I, who were called, made it in time for the final farewell, having so much to do immediately afterward. From the wake to the funeral and the changes in the company with my brother taking over as president helped distract me from the grief. There was no opposition to my younger brother becoming president, thanks to Dad's trusted senior staff. There are many who will support us. Mom seemed relieved. My brother's character and the way Dad had always valued the company and its employees paid off. The next weekend, the family gathered at the behest of our legal advisor. The primary topic was the inheritance, which was equally divided among the 3 children, amounting to approximately $300,000. I could tell my husband was surprised next to me. I was shocked by the unimaginable amount, grateful, yet wishing more than anything that Dad had lived longer. There were discussions about the company's shares and properties, and the rest was to be continued another time. Exhausted from all the difficult conversations, I headed home. I'm going to rest for a bit, I said to my husband and started towards the bedroom.
"Yeah, take your time. About the inheritance, since no one objected, is that decided then?"
I guess so. Why?
"No, just surprised by the large amount. It's daunting."
Yeah, it surprised me too. I entered the room, pondering his words. More than expected. I mused vaguely, then dozed off. Waking up, I quietly headed to the living room.
Seriously, 300,000. No mistake." "Wow, that's huge. No, it's okay. How much I've worked hard and, Oh, she's up. Gotta go. Bye."
Who was that? Suppressing my surprise, I asked him, who had been on the phone.
"Oh, that's Mom. She was worried about how you're doing, Amy."
I see.
Well, she said she wants to come over this weekend. There's a new cake shop she wants you to try."
Okay, then I'll buy some nice coffee. I smiled and he nodded happily, but a definite suspicion had formed in my mind. The day before mother-in-law Kathy's visit, I stopped by my parents' house. Mom, how are you? Feeling a bit better? Yes, you don't have to come by so often. Olivia is always worried and stops by too. Are you eating well? Olivia is my brother's wife, modest yet firm and compassionate. She had been devoted in caring for Dad and supported Mom during the funeral. I think my brother really married a good person. Yeah, don't worry about me. But actually, I have something I want to discuss. Oh, what's up? There's something that's been bothering me. I started to share my doubts about my husband while drinking the coffee Mom had made. Then, the next Saturday, Kathy came over. She had attended Dad's wake and funeral, and this was the first time we met since then. Amy, I'm so sorry about your dad. I brought some delicious cake to cheer you up a little. Kathy, thank you so much for everything. Please have some coffee. Oh, thank you. As the three of us ate cake, my husband brought up the topic.
So, about the inheritance.
Yeah?
Can you transfer the $300,000 to Mom's account?
What? It was a conversation I never expected, and I was momentarily stunned. I don't understand what you mean.
That much money? It's too much to handle, right? You're part of our family now, so I think it's best to transfer it to my parents' bank account.
What? I couldn't comprehend his words. Are you saying you need to borrow some for a car or something expensive?
Haha, borrow? It's our money now, our family's.
My husband burst into laughter. Our family. Of course, the family you married into. Your money is our money now. Kathy continued with a smile. I'll manage it properly. You can ask when you need it, but you have your salary, right? Wait a minute. I don't understand. Why does it become Kathy's money even if it's our family's?
Well, that's how it is. It's our money now. And of course, Mom's too.
This is absurd. What are you saying?
Don't worry, your family too. First, we'll build a big multi-generational house. Maybe buy a car. We can afford it with $300,000.
James, you're so eager. But yes, we should start on the multi-generational house soon.
So, transfer it to Mom's bank account now, okay?
Please, Amy. A son's wife's money is our family's money. I was stunned by the true colors of this mother and son. A hope I held was not only crushed but surpassed by their appalling behavior. James, did you marry me for my family's wealth?
Huh? I really do love you. It's just that you're a wealthy heiress, Amy. Huh. When I heard you were an heiress and found out about the big company, I decided to marry you right away.
That's right. I welcomed it too. James has always cherished you. Cherished me for my family's wealth? Don't make such a scary face. Once you are married, you're part of the husband's family, so it's natural to hand over the wealth, right? Lucky he got sick so soon.
I was shocked. I thought we'd get a lot in the future, but never expected him to go to heaven so soon.
What a terrible thing to say. You were hoping for Dad to pass away? I couldn't stop trembling.
He got cancer on his own. If he can't be saved, it can't be helped. We just prayed for him to be at peace soon.
Yes, it's better for him to pass away quickly and leave the inheritance to his children. That's what Dad would have wanted. James had always seemed to cherish me. So when I heard those unbelievable words on the phone, I thought it was a misunderstanding. It was all an act, I realized. Looking back, I had a seed of doubt. But I thought it was natural to be excited about marrying into a wealthy family and expecting some luxuries. But this was beyond that. Unforgivable. These despicable people. Containing my rising anger, I said, First of all, the money hasn't even been deposited into my bank account yet. It will take about another week for the procedures. I can't transfer it. Said.
What a shame. I thought it had already been deposited. Hurry it up, will you?
Well, Amy seems to understand our point. Once the money is in, just give it to me and leave the rest to me.
Yeah, I'll give you Mom's bank account details later so you can transfer it right away.
Saying this, my husband, whom I no longer wanted to call as such, James, tried to put his arm around me. I slipped away from his grasp and managed to stay calm. Please come back next week. When I said that, Kathy replied, Okay, I will. And she left with a smile. Then the day came. The day to let this despicable, greedy mother and son know what they deserve. As soon as they entered the house and sat down, Kathy immediately started talking. Amy, did you get the $300,000? Did you transfer it to my bank account yet?
Let's go out for steaks tonight to celebrate.
Oh, that's great. With $300,000 coming in, I'll treat you tonight, James. They were both in a good mood. Naturally, since they think they're about to get $300,000, unaware that everything is about to be turned upside down. Then, I have something to report, I said, smiling calmly. I've completed the renunciation of inheritance. What? Their voices perfectly in sync, just like a parent and child. Their expressions, eyes wide open, were identical.
What did you say?
Renounce the inheritance? Yes, I have renounced it.
Don't joke around. Who would do such a stupid thing?
Right, who in the world would willingly give up $300,000? Well, normally people renounce inheritance when it's mostly debt. Exactly. It's absurd not to inherit when there's no debt. Kathy was screaming, her face contorted with rage. Didn't you know? It's not uncommon for business owners to choose renunciation to pass their assets to a specific heir, especially for a long-term stable management.
What?
How could you? They seemed lost for words. It's not surprising. This greedy duo couldn't fathom the idea of giving away money. In our case, it's my brother who had to take over Dad's position so soon. I plan to support him as his sister.
That's foolish. You're being deceived, Amy, by your brother and his wife.
Right, his wife must be after the money, I replied to their frantic protests. Don't compare me to you, with a cold voice. This is my decision. My brother and his wife even said there's no need for you to renounce. She's a wonderful woman. If they said you don't have to renounce, then rethink it. I already said the process is complete. The $300,000 won't come to me.
This is,
I won't give anything to a husband and his family who rejoice in the misfortune of my own family. Kathy, pale next to my husband, suddenly looked up. Incredible. No inheritance. James, we need a divorce. We'll claim compensation in the divorce case. What? I exclaimed in surprise. Of course. You renounced the inheritance without any fault on James's part. Where's the proof that we were happy about your dad's misfortune or after the inheritance? We acted perfectly at the wake and the funeral. Such a slick talker, admitting to their act. The proof? You just admitted it, didn't you? If you stop this nonsense and apologize, I won't divorce you. Then, a sudden angry voice echoed in the living room.
It's you who should be apologizing.
I heard a calm male voice and turned to see Kathy frozen. Ah, you! Why are you here?
Oh, Dad?
James looked surprised too. There stood my father-in-law, Mark. I caught my mother's eye behind Mark and nodded.
You've always been vain. I was happy when James married Amy, but I never imagined you were such people. I couldn't believe it until I heard it with my own ears. James, you too.
Mark looked truly pained.
What?
Kathy and my husband looked bewildered.
Last week you came here to ask Amy for the inheritance. I heard the whole conversation. What? Everything has been recorded. Today too. What do you mean?
James yelled at me. You panicked a few times when I overheard your phone calls. You thought you had fooled me, but I won't be deceived that easily. When Kathy said she was coming, I set my mobile phone to record mode just in case. Indeed, the day before Kathy's visit, I stopped by my parents' house and consulted with my mom and our lawyer. Mom was shocked.
Such a thing is unthinkable.
I was surprised, but the reality was worse than imagined. And I decided to renounce my inheritance and started the process immediately on Monday. I also contacted Mark, who was shocked to learn of his wife and son's actions and apologized profusely.
I can't stay with a person like you.
Are you serious? This is all a misunderstanding.
William was a humble man with great humanity, despite being the president of a company. I was proud to be his family and friend, but now I'm deeply ashamed and sorry.
Mark deeply apologized to me.
Amy, I'm truly sorry. You can divorce immediately, and I won't allow any nonsense about compensation in the divorce case. Hey, Dad! Shut up! Don't say another word, you disgrace! If you have a complaint, let's show today's and the other day's recordings to your colleagues and all our relatives. Ah!
Mark stole the final cool moment. But it's okay. When I talked with my mom, Mark genuinely cried, regretting Dad's loss. To James and Kathy, who stood with their mouths open, unable to speak, I said, "That's how it is. Please leave." A month later, James and I divorced. The news spread through the couple who introduced us, and James lost his friends. He was also transferred to a small sales office far away. James's parents divorced too. Kathy, who had freely spent Mark's money on brands and dining, had no choice but to agree to the divorce when asked to return the money she had spent. Couldn't she have offered to work part-time and not divorce? Her refusal to mend her ways and reconcile with Mark shows Kathy's true character. Well, it's no longer my concern. Mark came to our house to apologize again and asked to visit Dad's grave on the anniversary of his death. Mom and I, of course, agreed. The inheritance I relinquished is being used as funds for the company. Mom, my brother, even my younger brother offered to share their inheritance or redistribute it, which made me laugh. Having such a family is enough for me. Dad, I wasn't wrong, was I? After moving out of the apartment I shared with James, I returned to my parents' house and spoke to my dad's portrait. It seemed like he smiled in the photo, and tears fell from my eyes.